Record. Welcome to HeART. This is Monica C. Guidry. Friends, I'm so glad that you're here. It is Monday, so you guys know exactly what that means. It means it's Enneagram Monday. For the whole month of August, Myrna is going to be with us. She is an Enneagram coach, and she's going to be telling us all about the Enneagram. She's been with us for 2 weeks already. Two Mondays already. This is her third Monday, and she's got something amazing for us to talk about, one of the triads. So before we get started, I want to just remind you guys that my 7-day affirmation journal is out. It is entitled, I Am Passion Purpose. I want you to get a copy of it, especially if you are an Enneagram 4. You'll learn all about that. But this is where you can chart down your feelings, friends. But if you're not a person that likes to journal, if you're not a person that finds the need for journaling, I feel that you should. It is completely therapeutic. And if you're one of those people that says, I don't even know where to start, that's exactly what a guided affirmation is. I actually give you several affirmations to repeat out loud and then to write out loud, so that even if you don't start out believing the affirmations, the more you say it, the more it becomes you, the more you believe it. So you get that. It's a 7-day affirmation, guided affirmation journal. You can purchase it on monicacguidry.com. That's my website. And if you have any questions, just shoot me a DM. So without further ado, now that I have all of that out of the way, why you're here is for Myrna, and she's our Enneagram coach and our tour guide towards Enneagram. So welcome, Myrna.
Hey, Monica. So good to be back with y'all today.
Yes. So what do you have for us, Miss Myrna?
Yeah, today we are going to be talking about the triads. And so over the last 2 weeks, we have been talking about the Enneagram and all 9 types, last week with a quick glance at your core motivations and messages that you're really here. Today, we're going to dig into the most popular triad type of the Enneagram, which is our centers of intelligence triads. So these triads are the feeling triad, the thinking triad, and the gut triad. And for everyone, one triad is more dominant, triad supports that dominant, and then one triad is repressed. The one that is typically how you read the world. And anything that happens, it's how you put information and how you're going to respond. And it's either going to be intuitive or intentional, but you're going to respond with a, what do I feel? Really leaning on your emotions. Or what do I think? Leaning more towards the facts of the situation. Or what do I do? So the goal in knowing and understanding this information is, 1, to know what your dominant triad is, and 2, to strengthen those bigger triads so that you can be more balanced in terms of taking a balanced and holistic way of being in this world. Because if we rely on just our dominant center, we might miss so much information in a situation, which miss out on ways that we could respond or perceive the world in situations within our world.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get into it.
We're getting into it. Today, we are going to dive into the feeling triad. So this triad is also known as the HeART triad or relational triad, and it contains our types 2s, 3s, and 4s. So while all these numbers seem rather different, they all share the same heart instincts. So our 2s, 3s, and 4s all take in life and information through feelings with their heart. And they generally respond based on what they're feeling them and how they're feeling in a situation. Connection and relationships are huge for these types in this triad. They want to connect with you. They want to look for approval from you. They want to see how they're being perceived by you and others. And this triad tends to make adjustments in themselves so they can shift to the perception of others around them. They'll do whatever it takes to make connections with others. And in doing so, sometimes, unfortunately, shift so much that they lose themselves and the ability to handle challenging situations effectively. Our 2s, 3s, and 4s are very good at sensing the energy of others and their environment. They're experts at that. And if this triad, think about how you notice energy in others. Whether, someone walks in and you feel that liveliness, or you feel a drop in energy, you feel the energy levels of space. And that's awesome. That's a beautiful gift for our 2s, 3s, and 4s. people in this triad are looking for love and affirmation beyond themselves and could sometimes perceive that they're unlovable. They're looking for ways to be loved, whether intentionally or unintentionally. They're looking for it by what they do, what they produce, by helping and caring for you, or by believing they should be loved simply because they're unique and because they're special. And so these folks that are typically going to introduce themselves relationally, like, I'm Tyler's wife or I'm Mia's mom, and they see themselves and they see themselves from that connection with other people.
That is so good. And the only reason why I'm like, my head are like about to jump through the screen is because I fall within this triad. I'm a Enneagram 4, and everything that you're saying is like spot on. And it's, it's crazy, for lack of a better expression, that, we really, how the Enneagram really narrows it down, like down to a T as to our aspirations and the why we do certain things. I absolutely can sense the energy in the room. I mean, when someone walks in, I can feel it. Or if I'm going into a room, I can feel it. I mean, it's for my benefit. I used to just say, before I knew anything about the Enneagram, I would just say, this is a gift. It's a blessing and a curse, for lack of a better expression, because you literally can sense, regardless if a person says they're okay or not, like, you're not being honest. That there's a part of me that just lets them be. But this is so crazy good. Okay, so what else we have?
So the emotional struggle for this triad is shame, and often it could be perceived as anxiety. They're actually very familiar with anxiety and intuitively, interestingly for this triad, change other emotions into anxiety without even realizing it. Right. They have to recognize that under that anxiety is shame, and honestly, they're just trying to avoid it. They first would have to identify what came before that anxiety by asking themselves, what preceded me feeling anxious? Why am I in this place of, that anxiety? Because it'll help them to determine what they might be avoiding. And once they can name that, they can then work through whatever it is. And it's a lot of work, honestly, requires a lot of practice and can be very emotionally draining. But over time, it gets better and it gets easier.
So I'm sorry, just really quick, if I can interject. When you say shame, in terms of what? Because when you think shame, you think, it has such a very negative, meaning that attaches with it. But so when you say shame, break down that terminology for us.
Yeah, so shame is just this feeling of distress or humiliation, really feeling like you are this bad thing. So that need to feel loved and to be accepted and appreciated, they feel like they don't deserve to have those things. They can't get those things. They have to earn those things in some way, shape, or form. And so that
so good.
Really is them like putting it on themselves, like, I am unworthy, I am bad, I am wrong. And honestly, it's just not true.
Yeah. All right, I'll let you keep rolling.
So within this triad, we have, like I said, our 3 types, our 2s, our 3s, and our 4s. Our 2s within this triad, so they all express or navigate the world with feelings, but they all do it just a little differently. So our 2s externalize their feelings, our 3s deny their feelings, and 4s internalize their feelings. So all navigating around the feelings, just in different ways. Sure. So we're going to dig into each one. The first one, our 2s, they are helpers, sometimes out of touch with their feelings because they really just want love, and they often settle for appreciation. They desire to be needed and unfortunately have mastered sacrificing their own needs and feelings so that they can please and take care of others. Their superpower is this keen ability to sense and feel the feelings of others in the room. But not only do they sense it and feel it, they take it on. They wear it as if it is their own. And that can be a blessing and a curse. Their ability to really empathize with you is so strong, but in that, they lose themselves. 2s often don't know what they need. So when asked, they typically tell you that they're okay. Sometimes, often not true. They're afraid of getting too close to having their real needs met, because if you don't meet those needs, especially not meeting them in the way that they really need it met, they don't know if they can handle it. Some twos have a lot of difficulty experiencing love and intimacy, and often take physical closeness as or instead for that emotional closeness. It's so important for a two to spend time alone. They don't want to, they really don't like to, but it is so, so helpful for them. It's a good time for them to work toward understanding their own needs and to really self-observe, to take note of what they're noticing, and to begin to replace their real feelings in that place where they normally put what others feel like and what they feel like others want them to be feeling. So it's a great time for them to really self-reflect and start to own how they feel. Because the more that they do this, the more you create a sense of self that doesn't alter, it doesn't shift, it doesn't move when you're around others. And then you can assert yourself more, learning to protect yourself from being used and taken advantage of, and really discovering your own talents so that you can love and support and help others from a place of healthy boundaries.
I'm emotional over here, like, it's so good. I'm just thinking about the twos in my life, and exactly what you're saying is exactly what they do, and how they are and interact. It's so good. Okay, you can go on. I don't want to keep interrupting. It's so good.
Oh, you're totally fine. Our threes, they deny their feelings. More specifically, they take in information with their feelings, but they don't use those feelings to process that very information that they've taken in. So they just deny it. They have the greatest trouble accepting and recognizing their feelings, their own and others. They tend to be very driven, efficient, and accomplished. They love to succeed, and they put a lot of value into desired roles and achieving those roles. Our culture absolutely loves threes because they're competitive, they're successful. They have so many ideas, they can make tasks efficient, and they get stuff done. And they do all of that with such ease that a lot of us just hope to have and want to have. For our threes, achievement is open-ended. In other words, they don't really feel like that they've ever really arrived at achievement, as successful as they are. And they're often taking on new projects and constantly have new projects being added to their plate. And when others are lazy or inefficient, honestly, they perceive that inefficiency or laziness, because truly some people aren't, they just see it that way. They struggle when others are that way. And threes, external image is crucial, and not necessarily in the way that we might automatically think.
Right, because I automatically think when I hear that they're image conscious, like like they have to have designer stuff and look a certain kind of way as far as like designer or name brand or all of that.
Yeah, like the trendy people and
trendy, yeah.
Yeah, which that's a piece of it, because it's how they dress, how they do their hair. That's a small piece of that external image. But really what's talked about, what's accomplished, where someone leads, what role someone plays, those are also playing into someone's image. And they're very aware of that and very particular about how they want to appear in all of those settings, in all of those ways. And no success guarantees their personal worth or value. For them, it really truly feels like chasing after the wind. Winning and succeeding, they're rooted in this deep desire to be loved and accepted. And they need to know that they're loved for who they are, not just what they do. So they typically put those feelings aside because it threatens their effectiveness, it threatens their efficiency. And so if that feeling comes, they take it, they put it to the side, like kind of adding it to their to-do list. But the work that's involved in unpacking those feelings and really using those feelings, it takes them away from the efficiency that they want to achieve and the projects that they have, that sometimes they don't really get back to that pile of feelings to really unpack. They're not typically your laid back people. They are very future oriented, and some might be workaholics. Not all, but some might be.
I know some threes. Three is my wing. A very strong lean to a three wing. And I have a really good girlfriend who's also a three. She's our worship pastor at church. And man, she has like about 10 jobs. I mean, like the things that she does, right. Projects and stuff going on. And it's so crazy seeing her work. I've been using that word a lot. I'm going to use crazy a whole lot, y'all. So just, bear with me. But she has all these different projects going on, and she seems to like be able to do them all so gracefully and with ease. And You're just looking at her like, man, I wish I had like a tenth of that. I mean, I work when I am, in my mode. I mean, I'm on it. And I know that that's my 3 wing at work, because the natural me is kind of like, I'll get to it. But when I'm in my zone, I can just knock stuff out. That's just,
Yep, that efficiency kicks
yeah,
in.
efficiency. Okay, so what we got next?
Oh, well, there's just a little bit more for 3s.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. That was perfect, because it's so true. 3s are workers. And honestly, they typically need to slow down, and they need people who gonna tell them the truth, because they have to want to be good, not just appear good. And they need goals other than just winning.
Say that
They are
again.
such
Say that
that
again.
they need goals other than just winning. 3s are such a gift to our society, really, truly. And the key is for them to use their personality and patterns as the strength and awareness, rather than allowing personality to drive them. They need to be the one driving that, all of their tendencies. And so some questions for our 3s to consider are: who am I trying to please and why? And what desires do I have that don't necessarily have anything to do with what's popular or public or what others want me to do, but really just because I want to do it?
You hear that, 3s? Got some questions to ask yourself.
Things to reflect on.
Yeah.
And so for today, last but not least, our 4s. Our 4s are so unique, and they desire to be so in identified ways. They want to be the ones to define their uniqueness. Would you say that that's true for you, Monica?
Yeah, I cannot stand when someone tries to label me or box me into something.
Yes.
It's like, actually, you don't know? Like, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, we really don't know. And 4s, more than anything, want to be known, but allow them to tell you who they are.
Yeah.
And create the space for them to really be who they are in their unique, special personalities. Sometimes young 4s, especially during their teenage years and often into their 20s, they might define that uniqueness in ways probably a little opposite than what you'd want them to. They long for a comfort that they just think the rest of us have, and are looking for normalcy, yet they hate everything that is just normal. Uniqueness is so their thing.
Mainstream is so, but.
Spoken like a true 4. 4s are connected to the idea or feeling of abandonment. They're always ready for you to leave, but they also really never quite are really ready to handle the actual reality if you did. I imagine that many types feel that way. You're ready, people might be leaving, but 4s feel that on a whole other level. 4s think we don't understand them, and in a lot of ways, we really don't. They want to be known, and it's super important that you just don't pretend with them. Don't pretend to understand or share their pain, because honestly, we likely really probably don't. 4s are often described as melancholy. I think we talked about that a little bit last week. And for some, it's an affirming definition, because that sadness and that tenderness, it should exist in the world. And they appreciate when others recognize that, yeah, no, this is real. But melancholy is also often described as this depression, and that can be a possibility for some 4s, but it's really not quite the way to describe it for a 4. Their mood and their energy is one of depth and emotional intenseness. It is a depth that really, when you look at it from the outside looking in, might look like this extreme sadness and depression, but really it's this comfort that they have with an emotional intensity that, honestly, y'all, is so beautiful. The intimacy for 4s can be really tough because of that depth. Not everyone can really go there with them and really understand the depth of their feelings. And they don't always invite closeness for that reason. But when they do allow it, it is so important to understand that they need those intimate, intense times, but they also equally require a whole lot of solitude. Both are so important for a 4. And as with all other types, their uniqueness is such a gift. And when they're expressing it and they're using it, it blesses the world with such a beauty, and it is so needed.
What's funny is when you're talking, I can tell when I'm getting into like a melancholy state, or what I do with my emotions is I use it to create. But so what's happening now, and I always forewarn like new friends of mine, like, listen, we're entering into autumn. We're entering into the fall time. This is when it comes out. I get super mushy, and I get super like I'm not necessarily withdrawn, but I go within myself. Almost preparing to like hibernate or to think or to just be or to just swim deep. Usually around this time of the year is when that happens. I'm like, I don't know why I have this strong connection to the fall. Maybe it's because of like just the intensity of the changing of a season, and I can just feel it. I can just feel it. So maybe that's why. But so if you're another 4 out there and that's you, or you relate, give me some, hit me up in my DM or something like that. But yeah, like I don't know what that is, but definitely the melancholy part. I'm more connected to that feeling when around this time of the year, getting into the fall time.
Yeah.
Do you ever, like, I know you're a one, but have you ever heard that from people that you've coached, that there's certain seasons that they're more connected to, or they're, more active or more reserved? And like, does that tie into any of the types?
Yeah, and you actually just gave me a great idea for a future series. So I'll probably do a series on that. But yeah, some seasons really do elicit that feeling. I think fall can be a really popular season for a lot of types because of all those changes. Like ones, we love change. We thrive on things change, and we feel like everything needs to constantly be improved. And so for us, seeing fall, it's like, look at this happening, and it's happening in such a beautiful but messy way. So it's like perfect for a one in terms of their growth. But this isn't about the one triad, it's about the feelings triad.
Okay,
and
because ones are, you'll talk about it, what, next week or something?
The last week, yep. Ones are in the gut triad.
Okay.
But with our feelings triad, each season really does elicit like a different mood.
I believe it.
There's a word that you can like put for each season when it comes to, and it typically for our feeling triad, it would be an emotion, because fall can give the feeling triad lots of hope, whereas the winter season can just be like this consistency and this like it's just simple. And it also depends on where you live, because if you're in those snowier parts of the country, it's just more peaceful because it's white and snow and leaves on the trees, that sort of thing. But if you're more in the south, it's about the same all the time. Yes, seasons connect to each type in different ways. Absolutely.
Wow. Well, I'm excited about whenever you do your series on connecting to the seasons. Let me know about that, because man, I think we're onto something when it comes to that. So we have, just to recap, so we did 2, 3, and 4. That's all in the HeART triad, or feelings triad, correct?
Yep, same thing.
Okay.
It's often called the HeART triad, the relational triad, or even the feelings triad. Yep.
Okay. All right. So one more time for the viewers who may, or for the listeners who may just be tuning in, have not caught up from day one or from the first Monday. Tell them how they can reach you and how to take the Enneagram test and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't even know if I said my name from the get-go, but you did, so that works. But I am Myrna. I am owner and founder of Ennea Health. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at Ennea Health, ENNEA Health. And there is a typing guide on my Instagram if you go to the link in my bio. You can also feel free to DM me. I love connecting with my followers. I love connecting with folks. And if you're connecting with me coming from this podcast, feel free to shoot me a DM and just say whole heart, and I'll know where you're coming from. And we can chat about your type. And if wondering, I'm not really sure if I really fit into the feelings triad, I'm not really sure what my type is. I tried to take a test, which is not always 100% accurate. It's actually 60 to 80% accurate. And so feel free, DM me, say whole heart, and we can connect and chat about questions you have about the Enneagram.
So awesome. Thanks again, Myrna, for coming on the show. You're awesome. I can't wait until next Monday. We got one more Monday after that. And I'm just going to give a little teaser for what's coming up in September. If you're a married couple, or not necessarily a couple, but if you're a married woman, because the show's for women, it's going to all be about sex. So I have a sexologist coming on, and she's going to be running it down and giving us the lowdown on how to keep things spicy and all that good stuff. So make sure you keep listening, and make sure you go back and binge the Enneagram day 1, Monday 1. You just have to go back to 2 more shows so that you can get caught up for next week. So thanks again for listening, friends, to HeART with Monica C. Guidry. And as always, I just hope that you are seeking wholeness in your heart, because a whole heart is a heart that's full of joy. It is a joyful heart. Until we meet again, friends, have a great day.